Hi, everybody. Welcome back to EDBEAT. Today, we're like the Brady Bunch. It's really kind of exciting. We have guests in the house. I'm April Cummings from Cayman Live TV. Patrick Brendel from Cayman Current. It is early on a Saturday morning that we're taping this, so I am feeling it. And I'm sure everybody else is. Hey, Patrick, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm Saturday morning. That's about it. Yeah. So let's introduce our guest today. Patrick, why don't you do the honors? I'm going to just say, though, the theme here is about the challenges and the purpose and value of accreditation. That's kind of how I've, encapsulated it in my head. Patrick, do the honors.
Yes. So today joining us, we have Dr. Stacey McAfee, who's the President and CEO of University College of the Cayman Islands, and Dr. JD Mosley-Matchett, who is the Vice President of Academic Affairs at UCCI. And today we're kind of going to talk about the accreditation process UCCI is doing right now to get recognition from the U.S. Association of Colleges and Schools, and also how this accreditation into the larger 5-year plan and vision for the university. And then hopefully we can talk more about basically the role of higher education and all that kind of good.
So Patrick, your audio, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. I think we got the gist, though. And I want to start by saying there's more than one type of accreditation, of course. And so we know that there are different kinds. Sometimes they're specific to subject areas. I'm not sure that accreditation, as I don't know it from the British context, and my experience is more from the American side of things, but it is certainly a challenging process to go through. I guess, Dr. McAfee, can we start with you a little bit? Maybe just a quick why for people who are not familiar with the concept.
So accreditation is a voluntary process, and it allows us to ensure that we are balancing quality of what we do within the Cayman context. It ensures that students that attend UCCI are receiving the same quality of education that they might receive anywhere else in the world. If students are transferring from UCCI, and many are staying through the bachelor's level these days and then transferring on to graduate programs, it ensures that their degree that was earned here is universally recognizable. The other advantage for us really in many ways is it allows us to build collaborative programs with other universities around the world. And that's a benefit to Cayman as well as to our students.
So I guess for people who don't know, can you talk a little bit about SACS and why this accreditation in particular is so important? Because UCCI has a number of accreditations already.
Mm-hmm. Dr. JD, do you want to take the lead on that one?
Oh, I'm very happy to. You're absolutely right, Patrick. UCCI does have several accreditations at this point. I'd like to run through a few of them if you don't mind, because I think that they are important for people to understand. We have institutional accreditation right now through ASIC, the Accreditation Service for International Schools, Colleges, and Universities. That's out of the UK. So it's not as though UCCI is not accredited. What we're seeking to do is expand our accreditation. So now we're looking for institutional accreditation through the United States with the SACS accreditation that we are seeking. The nice thing about SACS accreditation is that so many of our students do transfer to U.S. schools and colleges. So we want to make certain that we make that pathway as smooth as possible. It also is yet another feather in our cap when we can show that we have accreditation through multiple organizations. Some of the other associations that we are accredited through, we're a member of the Association of Caribbean Tertiary Institutions, which is ACTI. We also have, we are also, a member of the United Nations Academic Impact, which is exciting. So that's a very global aspect. But on the program level, we have the International Accreditation Council for Business Education, which is our business accreditor. We also have accreditation through, let's see, we have IMI accreditation, which is the Institute of Motor Industries. We have accreditation for our teacher education through the Jamaican, through UWI's Jamaican Board of Education. We have accreditation also for our, oh dear, I'm leaving someone out. Oh yes, nursing.
Yeah, Nursing Council.
So for nursing, we have it through the Jamaican Nursing Council, and we are moving over to the newly formed Cayman Islands Nursing and Midwifery Council. So we have quite a few accreditation arms that are supporting us and putting their imprimatur on the quality of the education that we're offering at UCCI.
So I had to mute myself because the dog is barking in the background, so I may periodically disappear in the space of this interview. And yes, that's quite an extensive list, but I think what people might not understand is how much work is involved in achieving any accreditation at all, no matter what the organization. It really has a lot to do with accountability and making sure that the systems you have are robust, that you're checking. It's not just an external body checking what you're doing, but it's that you yourself as an entity are continuing to check the quality of your work. SACS, and I was going to pull up the website, but I had trouble with my fingers and the dog in the background, is not the easiest accreditation to achieve. You may be doing a fantastic job as a school and still have challenges getting the SACS accreditation, which is why I wondered, is it really worth that? On more than one occasion. I just love to hear your thoughts about why, you've talked a little bit about its usefulness, but it's such a rigorous process. Can you talk a little bit about why it's, what it's like and why it's worth doing?
Well, I think it's definitely worth doing because it's all about continuous improvement. So at the end of the day, as educators, we want to continually raise the bar for ourselves on behalf of the students and the community that we serve. For example, it might surprise people to know that every single course that we teach has a set of learning objectives and student learning outcomes. And so part of the accreditation process is to look at in every course, do we in fact measure what students are learning and how do we know that they're learning what we say they're learning? So it allows us to consistently and confidently suggest this is where we're at, current state, what we're doing very well. And it also allows us to say, these are areas that we want to keep strengthening. And I think at the end of the day, that's what educational institutions should be doing. And it's what we expect of our students. We want them to continuously get better. And the other thing is, I think it's a matter of pride. And it's not a one and done. You have to maintain your accreditation. So you go through the initial process, but then you are reviewed on a regular basis to ensure that you are still doing the things that you've said you're going to do. So I think for any body, whether it's government investment or private sector investing in the university, the fact that we're willing to submit to this type of rigorous examination because we want to continue to be the very best is an important testament to the return on the investment that's being made.
And so full disclosure, you're the University College of the Cayman Islands. My parents founded the International College of the Cayman Islands in Newlands. And so I do have a little bit of insider baseball about that sort of thing. I've spent as a young person, many a time helping file paperwork and organize things and double checking things on lists to help with that type of process. So when I say it's a lot of work, I truly understand how much work it is, but it really does, I think, build the character of an institution to go through that continuous process of self-evaluation. So it's not just that we're grading the students, but we're also making sure that the learning outcomes are being achieved, but also that we, on an ongoing basis, are proving our ability to disseminate that knowledge and basically, escort our students out of the campus and into the world as better citizens, better learners, and better contributors to the greater good. At least that's the hope, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very well said, April. All of your hard work paid off.
We can only hope.
In addition to getting better or measuring certain things, what kind of initiatives or things have you had to change or add or enhance to as part of this accreditation process, rather than just the paperwork?
Well, if I may, SACS has 14 principles that they evaluate us on. And just to run through the list, they look at our governing board. They look at our administration and organization. They examine our faculty. They examine our institutional planning and effectiveness. They look at our student achievement and our academic student support services. They also look at educational program structure and content, educational policies, procedures, and practices, our library and learning, our information resources, financial and physical resources, as well as our transparency and institutional representation. So it's a very holistic view. They're not just checking whether or not the grades are put into the system appropriately. So as a result, we have to prove that we are meeting the standards for all of those 14 areas, which means it's very data intensive. And some of the things that we've had to change are the way we go about determining whether or not our students are actually meeting those student learning outcomes, and how we are taking that information and improving our educational system, because SACS is all about continuous improvement. So it's, as the president said, it's not just a once and done exercise. Instead, it's a matter of making certain that we are continually thinking ahead to what the next step is going to be.
And if I can follow up on that wonderful response that Dr. JD offered, one of the things accrediting bodies look at is how well do you know who you serve, and how are you serving them to the very best of your ability. And so as part of our strategic plan, which included that we would pursue and achieve additional accreditation, we have understood that our students need many services and financial aid and other resources to be more successful. So we've done a lot of work around better understanding who we serve. And for example, in the last few weeks, we've announced over $100,000 of financial aid and scholarships for students who we knew were struggling to either start or to continue their education at UCCI because they needed resources to do so. So that's one example, because we will look at how well do our students persist and finish their education, and what are the barriers that they face in doing so, and what is the institution specifically doing to ensure their success. Another example is we put in place a work-based learning program, because accreditors also ask the community, how is the university doing in meeting the needs of the community? And when I first arrived, there were many conversations with private sector and a survey of our own students. And there were a couple of things that emerged from that. One, students said they needed to work and they would like to work on campus if at all possible. Employers said your students are learning academically what they need to learn, but they could be prepared much better for work readiness. And so we put in place a work-based learning program that provides students with first on-campus work experiences, shaped and evaluated around 10 different world of work competencies. And then from there, we are also placing students with our employer partners who've helped us build this program. And they also evaluate the students on the same set of criteria. And what we found is it's a great way for those participating employers to see talent early, to bring them into their organization. So at the end of the day, our need to place students even more effectively within the Cayman economy is enhanced by this program as well.
April right now has just sent a message saying she's taking care of the dog gently, I hope. We can forward on in her temporary absence. And so you mentioned this 5 years. Oh, she's back, and she's talking about her.
The dog is alive. He's just going up there.
So you mentioned the 5-year strategic plan, and we're about, by my math, we're about halfway through the 5-year. Can you talk a little bit about where the university was in 2019 when this plan kicked in, and kind of where you're at now, and what the ultimate vision is to be like in 2024?
Mm-hmm. Happy to, and Dr. JD, we can share some pride points here. I think one of the things that we understood in 2019 was that there wasn't a great awareness of what the university was doing. And as a result, we weren't as accessible to students. And so we've worked very hard to tell the university's story in all sorts of forums and platforms. And, whether that's word of mouth or meeting individually with organizations or on social media, we have really allowed students to be reintroduced to the university. And as a result, for example, in 2016, 2017, the university was serving about 1,350 students. And the last academic year, which ended in August, saw the university at 1,943 students. So in that period of time, student enrollment has increased by more than 43%, which is an anomaly in higher education around the world right now. I think what's also important is that we grew even during the pandemic. And what we're seeing is student growth is across every single type of program we offer, whether it's TVET, short courses, associate, bachelor's program. And we're very proud to see how many students are really staying here in the Cayman Islands through their bachelor's degree, and then possibly choosing at that point to explore a more specialized degree somewhere else in the world. In fact, we're bursting at the seams a bit. The other thing that I think is really important is that we very successfully pivoted from a Friday to a Monday to a fully campus-based university, including you had to come to campus to pay your tuition, you had to come to campus to register for classes, to sign up to go to the university. Overnight, we switched to fully online teaching and learning and fully online services. That was made possible by a new information system that we brought in, but also the talent of our faculty and staff in willfully choosing that we would succeed and we would never pause learning for our students during that time. So those are some things that I'm particularly proud of. What about you, Dr. JD?
Well, one of the things that I am very proud of is our president, because I was on the original committee putting together the strategic plan, and the original strategic plan before she arrived was very, very broad-based. It still is broad-based, but she brought structure and organization through the 3 pillars that she allowed us to focus on. And by narrowing our focus and bringing all of these diverse hopes and dreams together, she has really been a phenomenal inspiration and leader. So I'm very pleased about that with respect to the strategic plan. It's laser focused. People know exactly what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Well, thank you, Dr. JD. And we are measuring everything. So for example, one of the things we realized is that we needed much more holistic student support. And so we established a one-stop center, which was a way to ensure that students found their way to the services they needed, whether it was career services or to be a part of student government and leadership, or to get the advising that they might have needed in addition to their faculty, to find out about scholarships. All of those things, we've seen more than a 3-fold increase in terms of how students are using those services. And the philanthropy that we've been able to raise, because I think of the clarity and the focus we've had, has allowed us to reinvest back in the campus and in our students as well.
Is there one sort of big takeaway from, I know we're on the strategic plan, but I've been listening throughout, and it does sound like instead of trying to do everything, the word laser focused came up, you still maintained the things that you were doing on an ongoing basis, but identified 2 or 3 key things that were kind of the big areas that needed to move the institution forward. What were the 2 biggest ones? Was it, increasing an understanding of what the students needed and the community needed, and then zoning in on those? Or was it telling the story of the university? What would you say the most critical points were for moving from where you were to where you are?
I would say that it was about encouraging students to be much more engaged in their own education. And we've always had wonderful faculty who are very invested in the students and the Cayman Islands, but we needed students to take a real active role in their own success. And if I can offer one example, when I arrived, I think there were less than 20 students that were involved in student government. And within the first year, we had over 200 students that got involved, that have consistently elected a student government leadership. They are not only aware of what student needs, they advocate, but they're also creating in and of themselves a sense of school spirit. We now have a mascot at UCCI. So many of the things that I think you see the students carry themselves very differently now. There's a sense of pride in their university. They share that they are attending UCCI. They are leaders in their own right. In fact, last year they hosted an electoral forum. Half of all the candidates came to speak to UCCI students. So I think it's just an example of the evolution that I'm the proudest of, is that everybody has worked hard. We've planned effectively, but at the end of the day, our success is measured with what happens with our students.
And we talked a lot about successes. What are some of the challenges or the biggest obstacles to getting to where you need to be? And also, what are some things that are in the plan that maybe you haven't been able to achieve and it doesn't look like it's possible?
Well, as you know, every success comes with its own challenges, Patrick. So thank you for that question. We're bursting at the seams and the physical campus. We need more resources, to be perfectly frank, to accomplish the vision for the university, not just physical campus, but also we need more faculty. We need more support staff, and ensuring that we have similar ratios to other universities around the world, that our students are getting a similar experience is a continuing work in progress. I also think that we are thinking a lot about what is the best way to deliver education, how much technology do we use, and what makes us special about being a place-based university in the Cayman Islands. I think at the end of the day, we've worked very hard to grow and build leadership and success from within our faculty and staff. But we've also been intent on growing the diversity of our staff and our faculty, because that's a critical part of ensuring that we have a quality learning environment. We surround our students with others that are not thinking necessarily the same way they do. And so it would be lovely to think at some point in time that the university would attract international students who could also attend here in the Cayman Islands. And lastly, I think we're trying to build the case. Our third pillar is to be an engine for economic development, innovation, and social change. And that may be the most unrealized part of our strategic plan. That is maybe the most important one that the university accomplishes in the next few years. And so ensuring that there's the confidence and the leadership to do so. I was proud to say that during this process of reopening, one of our faculty was invited to do some of the modeling. So you're starting to see that people are recognizing and drawing upon the expertise that exists within the university more fully.
Yeah, and I see we're coming up to our maximum time. As April said, we need to keep this within a certain amount of time so we can upload the file.
I could talk for hours, but
So speaking of fundraising,
Patrick is alluding to the
reminds
fact that,
us
my server blew up, so I'm using this little box I created for this to run on the channel. So it has some capacity problems, so I got to find a few $1,000s somewhere in the world to pay for this. But that said, it's been so lovely to talk to all of you, and I know that Patrick is going to make sure we invite you back again to discuss additional issues as well. All right, Patrick, sorry, I took up a valuable 1 minute of your...
Yeah, I just thought, if you guys have any closing thoughts, maybe something that's that you haven't gotten to say, or that you really, you want to take a moment to emphasize again before we close off.
Dr. JD, do you want to go first? You have the longest tenure at UCCI on this call.
Well, I've seen a lot of change at UCCI, particularly in the past few years. And I am very, very proud of the work that we are doing in the Cayman Islands, because very few institutions are required to be all things to all people, reaching into the vocational area all the way up through the master's degree programs. So this has been a wonderful journey, and I can't wait to see what more we're able to accomplish with the help of the Cayman Islands government, the people of the Cayman Islands, our students, our faculty, our staff.
Beautifully said. And I think I would just say that don't take for granted how important it is that we have a public university in the Cayman Islands serving 2,000 students. It's truly a benefit. And the Cayman Islands would be very different if we didn't have tertiary education, both private and public, available. And so we need to build upon that and create a legacy together.
All right, thank you both so very much. I'm in the background clicking little buttons, so you're going to magically disappear from the screen. But thank you again for your time, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again very soon. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a wonderful Saturday.
I feel all powerful, Patrick, as I click buttons and people disappear. Yeah, sorry about the dog there, but that was just one of those things.
That's okay. Maybe he spotted the raccoon.
Now that is a good point. It's highly possible, because if anyone could find the thing, it would be that dog. Sorry, Max, I insulted your integrity. All right, so Patrick, before we go, any other exciting current news to talk about today?
Not really. We've been on the midterm break, right?
Yeah.
Fun. I guess the one noteworthy thing that we've got on the website right now is their government's seeking bids to build a new classroom block. And these are year 6 classrooms. But what's interesting about this is as part of the PAPS, they wanted to create a nursery level program for the public schools. That would be the year before reception. So one way to do that would be to build classrooms for older kids and then convert the classrooms to that age. And in the RFP, it says they're going to convert old classrooms to reception age, not nursery. But we'll see how it turns out. They can be creative.
So I heard most of what you said, because it cut out a little bit. But I'm going to say that what Patrick discussed is in the current edition online, if you will. It's been posted on caymancurrent.org, and it has some information about the bid, and we'll talk more soon. All right, Patrick, I don't know, your microphone is angry with us today. It's there mostly, but not 100%. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
Probably the audience is grateful.
For shame, for shame. All right, so I guess that'll do it for us today. I'm going to post this forthwith and put it out there into the world. Don't forget, of course, as always, check out caymancurrent.org for all your latest, greatest, and most interesting education news. Thank you very much for that, Patrick.
Thanks, April.
Have a great one.